Several people have posted videos buying Ethiopian Enfields from RTI. I didn't actually intend to buy this one, but my son decided to make a gift of it, and now I've got it. It was an A grade gun, and after cleaning it up, it looks A minus B plus grade, but there's several mysteries about it that I'm having trouble figuring out. The number one thing is it says it's a number 4 Mark II, and it has a serial number, but that's it. This gun could entirely be a Mark 4, or excuse me, a number 4 Mark 1/2, or it could be a Mark II. The provenance is rather sketchy because as you'll see a little further on, most of the markings have been burred off. So let's take an effort to look at the video, and then we'll see what we can see in of various markings, and then pose some questions. Since I've had so many questions about this gun, and in my own mind and a few on the posts, and because I didn't actually just do a comprehensive video when I first cleaned it, I figured we'd take a look step by step, every single marking that's visible on the gun and on the bolt. The first item we've got is the bolt itself, and you can see we've got one marking there, and of course it's a number 1 bolt. The handle, there we go, 18, has the same serial number on it. As the gun. That's all it's all the markings we've got going here. And I apologize for kind of moving stuff around, but the tripod takes the middle of the phone's screen, so sometimes I can't see everything. We'll go from the butt back. We'll get the butt plate in a little video, but nothing on this side. A few little blemishes, marks expected. As you can see, serial number. Clearly, everything else has been cleaned off the receiver there. The body is basically clean. It's hard to tell. You can kind of see markings there. Kind of looks FTR. Kind of hard to tell. They didn't quite get it all off, but they got most of it. As I mentioned mentioned before, I have every reason to believe that that is not a factory add-on, but a hand add-on. But unknown who decided to mark that. Mark II. The stock is basically clear on the left side of the gun, with the exception of a Savage mark and the sights. Bottom, we've got importer mark. That's expected, nothing surprising there. Again, another Savage mark. No serial number. That kind of looks intentional there, but hard to tell if that's just a V little notch. I do obviously have the shorty stock. Anyone with a long stock who's willing to part with it, love to talk to you. Okay, now I'm going to turn this around. Here's what's left of the buttstock mark. Obviously need to interpret that. I'd like, if I can figure out who that means, that helps figure out where this gun's been. As you can see, the receiver here is pretty clear. There's two little, what looks like 7s, but the receiver there's been pretty well cleaned off. Here at the top, it's definitely a Mark 1 or a Mark 2, not a Mark 1 star that's been refinished. Again, no big marks. The black's almost off that piece of furniture. Again, we saw the Savage earlier. Nothing interesting there. Top of the gun is pretty boring as well. That's the top of the bolt head. Do have a Mark 3 sight, so, and it functions, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to take the furniture off this gun and we'll come back in a minute. So I'm going to start with the top pieces. This one, the front, has S76 on it. And underneath appears to have no markings that I can find. Had to clean it out fairly aggressively, of course. It's still pretty dirty, but I didn't want to completely ruin the finish. No marks unless that's some kind of ink mark, but I don't think so. In the top back, no marks of any significance. That's wood grain. You can see it goes all the way down. Again, a little dirty, but I didn't want to get too aggressive, ruining the finish. And the bottom stock is in good shape. I forgot to mention it's got the reinforcement screw through the middle. Not sure who put that in, but it's there. Pretty decent shape on the inside. There is a number here. Almost looks really like 2 numbers more. Now it's cleaner. Probably a restamp. Doesn't match this gun or any other. Probably came off a 389 the second time, and there's a 2 in there. So again, as for Savage, clearly a lot of stocks got rebuilt with Savage stocks. mentioned, here's the finish looks a little different. I suspect I may have gotten a buttstock of a different type than the furniture, but of course, none of the three look strongly the same, so I might have just gotten the parts bin second time through. But I do have a brass butt plate, which I did polish. This I didn't aggressively polish. You can see it's got a lot of pitting, but I did put the polish and knock the edge off of it. There's no way I'm going to polish it down and try to smooth it out. That's not what this thing's for. As you can see, that we got this mark that I'd like to know what it means, and of course we got a shorty. We'll start in the back here and work our way forward. This is of course the right side. One thing that wasn't necessarily clear, you got two numbers that kind of look like 77 there, but it's real easy to tell from the texturing that that metal has had the markings buffed off. That's going to be a recurring theme here through the top. I'm going to bring this as close as I can. You can kind of see there's a few markings there on the back receiver that aren't completely removed, but you can tell that metal has been aggressively textured, and there's not a lot of marking. There's been a lot of potential markings removed. You can kind of see that may be what's left of a marking there. But just not a lot going on there. Here's the right side of the pin of this to see if this is a Mark 1/2 or a Mark 2. Again, here's our serial number. Again, lots of texture, so lots of stuff possibly removed. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this side in a minute. But there's no marks. Just wanted to show there's no marks hiding down in there. No marks that I can see hiding down in there. I wouldn't expect too much. You can clearly see this isn't a rebuilt Mark 1 star because that rail's worn, but clearly solid. Now, this is the best mark and probably either the most authentic or best forged. M/47C 1953. And here, there's some markings on the bottom of the barrel, but you can see some scratch outs. And there's an 8 clearly visible. Now I'm not going to go up the barrel because there's just nothing in it. So we're going to swing back around. And one thing, sorry, hitting stuff on my desk. One thing that I didn't see till basically right now, at the very top of the receiver, there's what could be a 45. It's just, again, it's probably buffed out. Just very hard to tell. That's just about, has to be a 5. So, 4, and obviously the barrel pin there. All right, so let's move back here a little away from that glass. So, working safety, nothing under the safety. 1948, as said, there's buffing. There's all kinds of buffing all along this receiver. They've clearly worked the markings off this receiver and then re-blacked it. They missed what looks like FT and R or H, probably FTR, factory rebuilt, and that does look like a 19. I couldn't tell you if that's a 5 exactly when. Now, again, serial number, nothing on the top of the barrel there. I can't tell if if they've buffed that space there, or if there should be marks and there simply aren't. And there's absolutely nothing inside the buttstock hole or on the back, the very back of the receiver where the bolt goes in. On the trigger guard, I did not find it until just this disassembly, and it's very hard to see, but that is a 3 and an 8. And that's the only markings on it. It's clearly a number, it's clearly a Mark II trigger guard, but of course that's expected. One thing I forgot to cover in the other videos is the magazine. You can clearly see it's a standard number 4 magazine, but it clearly shows where a factory refit's been done. You've got the original serial number of the gun, but clearly scratched out, and then the new serial number stamped in here in this spot to stay with the other parts. So we've looked at the gun, stem to stern. Not a lot of stuff we can go on that we can know without manufacturing markings. We got some hints. The BSA stamps, the M47C means BSA Shirley. So if that stamp is accurate, this gun the barrel was put on it in 53. If that serial number is a BSA serial number, then the gun itself is probably a 41 or a 42, number 4 Mark I that got rebuilt in 53, got or close thereof. It got rebarreled and then refurnitured with whatever was at hand. Clearly, it's been someone along the way has decided to hide where it came from. that and this kind of make me suspect this gun may have been in Pakistan and then captured by India and burnt out. I'm surprised they didn't restamp it for India, but if they burnt it and then just refinished it and threw it in the pile, it would then probably just sit in a pile until it went to Ethiopia. And of course, who knows if the furniture, if they did an FTR in India, and again, so the real question is this a Mark 1/2? Is it a Mark II? Is it a early 41 war model, or is it a 53 parts gun? I at least, to the RTI question at least, I have to admit my son probably overpaid for it, but I'm having fun trying to figure it out. That's got to be worth something at least.